the people have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina, energy to do our thing. Get your camera. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! Yes, my name is Brian, and Shane's about to show up right now. Here he comes. I just have to put him in here. And we are the BRANE Show. Here comes Shane. Here, there he is. Oh, he's all messed up.
Well, great.
I got you, Shane. Sorry, guys. I actually accidentally started the stream before Shane got in here.
We're working on it.
I was trying to set up the Twitter stream and the Rumble stream, and I guess our restreamer is not working right now. And I'm confused at why I couldn't put him in there. And I'm like, why is this not working? And I pressed OK just to go. I didn't realize that OK meant, okay, go live. And YouTube just started streaming immediately. And I'm like, by the way, Shane, I already started. Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't even in yet. So that's fantastic. But it's okay. We do what we can. And other than
just over here too.
Hopefully you don't have a sound problem. I can't quite get it into my earbuds yet today. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, how's everybody? How was your week? You got off to a pretty stunning last minute start, right?
Last minute start?
At the end of this week, you had to run and go do something, didn't you?
Oh, yes. My kid went to a STEM competition in Arizona, which is pretty awesome. I have pictures of that. I'll show you guys right now. She did really good, actually, man. She did great. She killed it. I'm starting to realize something too. My child is like a better version of me in every way.
Well, that's what everybody hopes for, that their children are better versions of themselves.
She's like at 13 years old. She's smarter than I am, like for sure. Maybe she doesn't have as much knowledge as I do yet, but her raw potential is definitely greater than mine ever was. And like at 13 years old, like she's already doing STEM competitions. Like, dude, I wasn't doing that. I was like, when I was 13, my only goal was to find half naked pictures of girls in magazines and run illegal internet to my house and, play video games. I wasn't considering like STEM competitions and learning how to code. This is my kid at her STEM competition. She's the one on the right, and she killed it, man. Little coder kid, 13 years old, already doing code, already learning how to code at 13 years old. It's crazy.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I think my first website might have been around the same age, but it wasn't real coding. It was like HTML, I don't know.
Well, that's all there was at the time.
She's a smart cookie, bro. Smart kid.
Awesome. We love our kids. That's what we do. So let's see. So we don't want to bore you. So I apologize. I'm totally distracted because I don't have the option to hear in my headset. So I'm hearing everything through my computer system. Are you hearing feedback?
No.
Oh, okay. So this is going through my main speaker, the thing that we switched so many years ago. So I'm just going to take this out.
Oh, I did put the anti-echo on your window because Sosa was playing Fake Shane last week, and he had only computer speakers, so I had to have his anti-echo on.
Thank you, Sosa, for playing Fake Shane. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. Typically, and we usually figure these things out before we get started because Brian hit the button on accident.
I'm sorry.
I no longer get to figure out what's wrong. So, anyways, we'll just continue on with the thing, and we don't want to make this worse than it is. So,
I'll tell you what, your camera looks great. You sound amazing. And
great.
You're clearly losing weight, which I am super jealous of because the weight you're losing, I'm finding. So,
well, at some point we'll balance each other out.
Yeah, we're gonna just meet in the middle.
Right.
Like our cumulative weight will be the same.
Right. So thank you. There was a fake Shane last week. Last week's fake Shane, and Sosa appreciate.
Sosa says, "I'm the real Shane now."
I somehow I had actually never met Sosa, so I pictured him to be like an older, burlier guy, kind of like you. I guess I just figured he was like a version of you,
right? Not a handsome Cuban dude.
Yeah, but not like a really handsome, like good-looking, younger-looking guy.
Yeah. He's a younger, handsome Cuban guy hanging out with a couple fat white guys.
So we're sorry, Sosa. Sorry about that. So last week I was gone. I was ended up in the mountains with my family for a week, and so appreciate him stepping in. And you guys did a great job on the show. This week we're going to talk about. It's been a really weird week. If you guys have been, you don't even need to be paying attention to what's going on in the world, but the world is in your ears this week because there's no choice. The stock market has crashed. The second biggest crash, the only one bigger, is actually the one with COVID when everybody thought the world was going to end. So I don't know if that tells you anything about what's going on right now, but we're going to talk about that. What else we got on the list here, bro?
That, by the way, that's also when I decided to go all in on Disney, and they never recovered.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah. We're also talking about, and I was going to talk to you about this before we started going live, but you're going to hear it live like everyone else. A little bit of sexual assault allegations for some of Shane and I's favorite people, the Impractical Jokers. And I went deep down that rabbit hole, and guess what? It's not remotely what you think it is. So good. Huh. Good. It's going to be a good story. Also, Shane put this news in here. The Ukrainians who fled war fear deportation under Trump. I am young and I want to live. That's a whole thing. I don't.
Be careful where you're born. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Be careful where you're born. Also, that Minecraft movie came out, and as we predicted, it is straight stacking chips. It's probably going to see $150 or $140 probably $1 million opening weekend, which by everyone that was confused as to why they're making this movie, how it's going to flop so bad, I'm confused why you were confused. It's Minecraft.
Well, what's funny is I can tell you which movie is going to succeed or fail based on what my kids tell me.
Right.
So Snow White, no thank you. Dad, if you don't take it to see Minecraft, we're going to kill you. So it's pretty simple. So we have to go see Minecraft. And I believe at some point this weekend we're going to go. So
yeah, my kids were like, I know we're in a different state right now, but Minecraft just came out. You need to find a movie theater and get us there now, fat old man. No,
it's going to make it should make
I asked them, hey, you guys want to see Snow White? What's that?
What's that? That's great. And that's it's Disney's fault that they're asking what's that.
In one weekend, Minecraft is going to make more than every penny Snow White made in its entire run.
Yeah, probably their last couple movies, I'm guessing. What's the other movie they said that they broke even on and they didn't and they really didn't?
I mean,
what was before Snow White?
There's a few of them.
Oh yeah,
Captain America: Brave New World.
America. All right. It's going to make more money than both of those movies. So
yeah, it's gonna in 2 weeks.
This weekend. Yeah.
All right. Real quick, we got a super chat from my boy John Yolden.
Whoa, what's up, John?
My mate from another mother. I call him mate because he's from the UK. Well, for $5, John says, "Have a great show, guys, and a great weekend, everyone. Which variant of Shane is on the show this week?"
This is the actual, unfortunately.
The original. The original.
You can tell by all the gray hairs.
Yeah. This is not the Steelbook cover. This is the original VHS version.
Do you want to pimp what you guys are doing on Sundays? Are you still doing it?
Oh, yes. Tomorrow, thank you for reminding me, Shane. Yeah. Tomorrow, we are watching Stargate SG-1, Season 1, Episode 5 on John's channel. And what we do, and this might change, but until I have the time to figure it out, this is the way it is. What we do is we stream the episode for free in our Discord as a watch along. And John, me, and his friend Gary, I hope I'm remembering his name right, Gary, I think, basically do a live commentary. So you can watch it with us, watch it with your friends and hear us talking about it in real time. And it's been a fun time.
Awesome.
Every Sunday at 1:00 p.m. PST.
Right. Yeah. If you guys,
which I found out is it's like 3 a.m. his time or something like that.
Or in the UK? No.
It's sorry. It's like 8:00 p.m.
It's in the evening. Yeah. That's such a typical like fun exaggeration. Like if you were doing it in Hawaii or Japan, they would be middle of the night, or Australia for some of our friends. Anyway, so what else are we talking about?
A lot of good stuff.
Is that it?
Yeah.
The whole list? Okay.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna start talking, and as customary, it's probably gonna devolve into other things, or like at one point, Shay and I considered calling our podcast the Side Quest podcast.
At
least I did, because every time we bring up a topic, that usually leads to all these little side quests. And if you play video games like we have, side quests are when you're on a main mission, on main quest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can always veer off and to get bonus points or extra gold or extra XP or something and go other places. And that's why some of these main quests take so long, because inside the main quest, there's like 13 little side quests. If you just went straight for the heart of the quest, you get it done in a day.
See, that's called good. That's called good and fun gaming, but really bad podcasting.
Right. I think it's funny. Whenever I play video games with Sosa, he cannot just do the main quest. He's like, well, they mentioned something about this extra money in this GTA office over here. We got to go to that. I'm like, well, we've died 14 times trying to do the side quest, bro.
You have to, you got to consider your situation. I get that, but I get wanting to get all the money too. Anyways, let's not dilly dally further. Let's go straight into tariffs. And listen, I know I said the word tariff and a lot of your brains just immediately turned off. But we're going to share something with you that nobody's talking about, and we're going to try to make some things clear that is just failing to happen on the big stage. And I don't know if you guys spent the week glued to the news like I did, mostly to find out, because, I did what everybody's selling their stocks right now, okay? But not me. I took all of the stocks that I have that were actually either equal, even, or green. I sold them all and bought the shit out of the dip. I mean, like Nike,
buy the dip.
AMD, you're mine, like literally. But hopefully it all works out well, and I don't end up poor, and I don't have a retirement in the future. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully it doesn't end up like Disney stock,
right?
Because we bought the dip during this Disney stock.
Well, we didn't buy the dip. We bought Disney Plus. That's what we bought. When Disney Plus was announced, we're like, oh my god, Disney's going to own the planet, and then they screwed it all up. And of course that was before. So anyways, lesson learned. Now maybe I screwed up completely, but the whole point of the matter is the reason why the stock market is crashing like a homeless person taking a shit in the woods is because Trump put out his tariffs. They finally came to fruition. Now they've been talking about his tariff plan for a whole month. Like he had been talking about it. So the stock market should have already that should have already been in there. But what happened was when he actually came out this week with his actual tariffs, with that little chart. I don't know if you guys saw the chart where he's holding it up. He's like, we couldn't bring out the big chart. The wind would have taken it away. It would have been disaster. One of the things I love about Trump, when presidents in the past have always come out to talk, they come out and they pretty much just say what they're supposed to say, and then they leave. Like all you get is exactly what is supposed to be said, because they're very careful about how they, the wording is careful,
right?
They write it perfectly, and they don't want any extra ammunition to give your enemy, right? When Trump comes out, he just doesn't give a shit. He talks about anything and everything, and it's even more entertaining when he's not repeating himself and he's talking about stupid things like this little sign.
Yeah, I also was like, I know it needs to be bigger for some of you people that have eyesight problems. I half expected him to be like, I'm looking at you, Jared, you nearsighted mother.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which, some people don't like, but we think it's hilarious. And it's harmless. So if you take a look at this big list, so what happened is everybody thought, and I'm not sure why they thought this was going to be the case. They thought we weren't going to really tariff people very much. Like we're only going to give a little bit of tariff. And the numbers ended up being extraordinary.
No,
when you look at the actual percent of tariff, Now, what Trump said was, "Hey, these are kind tariffs. These are gentle tariffs. We're only tariffing them half what they're tariffing us." He's not using the right
reasonable.
word. It does, until you realize that that number on the left is not actually tariffs. So the number on the left, most of those numbers are 5, 10, 15, maybe in some cases, those numbers are actually much smaller on the left. You see that? Vietnam actually only has a 10% tariff. Now you see the number says 90%, right? So the actual tariff, but there's a bunch of hidden things. Now there's VAT taxes. There's they put up walls, they put up laws to keep us from bringing our goods into their country. So they use tariffs plus things. And what Trump has done here and his team is they have put the tariff plus all the barriers and the taxes and all the things and said, this is what the actual tariff is being charged against us based on all of these things.
Well, speaking about hidden charges, though, too, you also have countries like China and people that are trying to avoid their tariff cost by pushing their products through these other countries that have lower tariffs or no tariffs.
Right. So that's something else we can talk about. So yeah, that's definitely a strategy that we're going to go, we're going to explain this. So the thing about tariffs, we're not going to try to explain tariffs to you because but we just wanted to show what the big hubbub is. Why is everybody so upset? They all knew he was going to tariff. Number one, you got to remember that anything Trump does, about half of our country, 75% of the world, and most of the media is all going to label it as bad and really, really, really scary, and he's going to destroy you and ruin you. That is what we're fighting against. The wave of negativity every time this guy does something is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to not listen to the noise and to stay focused on the facts. Okay. And here are the facts. When Richard Nixon went out and opened China in 1972, something interesting happened. Businesses realized, oh my God, we can pay almost nothing for all of our manufacturing. This is the government, United States businesses. They're like, this is amazing. He opened up China to America. And it was amazing because we were able to take our products and we'd innovate here in the United States. Then we'd take it to China and China would make these products for us. We would ship the products back to the United States and we'd sell them to our consumers here in the United States. Over time, and if you guys remember, China, especially like in the 70s and the 80s, they started stealing our secrets. You guys ever see the South Park episode where China's like, oh, hi, we're friends, ha ha ha. But they're really like stabbing us in the back the whole time and like cheating us and trying to destroy us.
Yeah, right? Like your accent almost went racist, but didn't quite get there.
Racist innotes hate. We got to stop using that word.
Right.
Humor, if you want to call it.
Humor.
Humor. Almost got to funny. Okay. So what happened was, that's true. That's exactly what was happening. They were quiet. They were our friends. Well, we're no harm to you. And that's because partially, yes, you can say Americans thought, oh, Chinese people are dumb. Chinese people aren't going to, they're just making our stuff. Yeah. For decades and decades, it's a terrible way of looking at people, but that is probably people were very ethnocentric. You believe that your culture is better than everybody else's. And they never realized what China was really doing is that they were very smart. And what they were doing is they were slowly stealing all of our innovations. So we would take our innovations to China. They would make the products. Okay. And then they would just copy it and steal whatever it is we made. Brian and I have firsthand information. For years and years, we built websites for people who made products in China and then complained to us about China stealing their products and then reselling their product and undercutting them on other marketplaces.
Wait, even worse, literally copying their website pixel by pixel.
Yes.
I'm not joking. Like, let's say the website is cooltoys.com, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They'll just get cooltoys.net and they will copy everything down to the logo and sell the exact products that they were manufacturing for this person, but at a 10% of the cost. It's crazy.
Right. So for the longest time, it wasn't a big deal. In the 70s, in the 80s, and even the 90s, it really wasn't a big deal because even if they stole it, even if they sold knockoffs in like Hong Kong and and all the different places in the Southeast where and that's what happened for the longest time. They were selling knockoffs of these products. I bought all of Star Trek Voyager's DVD series like in 2004, like just knockoffs for like $50. It was fantastic. It was like $500 at home. So what happened was when Amazon and a lot of the online retailing started occurring, all of a sudden the model of you guys make our stuff, we ship it back here, we sell it for a profit, and our companies make a bunch of money, we pay all of our people, it's great. That changed when the internet started selling things. And all of a sudden, all these other countries were able to take the products they'd stole from us, undercut us, and now sell it. And all of the small and middle-sized businesses in the country started to evaporate
overnight.
Right. The rich companies were going to be okay, especially our companies like Amazon, Google. So these companies made it possible for these foreign countries to undercut us and take away our businesses.
Yeah.
So instead of Bush and Obama recognizing what was happening and trying to do something to fix it, they're typical politicians and they didn't do shit.
Well, there's actually something about that. Can I break in here real quick? Because I have a clip of...
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade...
I have a clip of Obama right here.
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade...
So can everybody else, because it's coming through my...
It's legitimate for poor countries to continue to seek access to wealthier markets. And by the way, wealthier markets, that's not the big problem that you're having. A small African country is sending you tea and flowers. That's not your biggest economic challenge. It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity from nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're...
Okay, I'll stop right there.
So big word.
He recognizes it. He just didn't have the balls to do anything about it.
Right. So what ends up happening, this is really interesting. And let me tell you, the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is nobody else is talking about this. Like when you listen to the people who are saying bad things about the God, your prices on everything are going to go up, and Trump bad, his plans are bad, and that's what you're going to hear pretty much from everybody.
Right.
The reality is that tariffs are used to protect industry. Now think about everybody has phones. This is a great example. So you have the iPhone, right? Pretty much. And everybody else pretty much has Samsung, right? Those are the two. Who owns Samsung?
Samsung.
No, what country owns Samsung?
Oh, I want to say Japan? No.
It's South Korea.
South Korea.
So
somewhere over there, right?
Yeah. So it's foreign. Now, when the iPhone came out, all right, you had iPhone came out and it was revolutionary. Apple figured out the smartphone. Okay. What happened was they started selling it. And the first thing that happened was they were selling it they were having it made in China. Okay. They were having it made in China. And what China did is they stole the technology, stole everything, and immediately sold the technology to someone else. Samsung, who was already a huge electronics manufacturer in our country, because we've allowed Japan, South Korea, and some of these countries to just come in here and wipe out our industry for electronics because it's cheaper. They made the Razor. Do you guys remember the Razor? The Razor phone?
Oh, yeah.
It came out right after the iPhone did.
Love that. Oh, yeah. But that was actually, okay, so I think you're right, but they actually based that on the BlackBerry, not the iPhone.
It doesn't matter. No, they didn't. I had a Razor. I never had a BlackBerry.
But the Razor had the same exact menus as the BlackBerry.
They didn't. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Same
but
concept,
I know it worked
though.
the same as my iPhone. Right. Anyways, don't go too deep on this, okay? Because BlackBerry is a whole different story, and government use of BlackBerries, and that's a whole different thing. But let's stick to the basics.
Sure.
BlackBerry, Apple, it doesn't make a difference. They're both made in America. They both were created in America. I think BlackBerry was America. Yeah. And it was stolen by China, sold to other industry. And so what happened was those phones came out, and guess what? They were cheaper than the iPhones. The reason I ended up on Samsung and using Android is because of it was cheaper than iPhones at the time. And I didn't want to pay a bunch of money. That's how I ended up there. So they were undercutting us right as soon as it came out. That is the way it has worked. And to the point where we have borrowed so much money. Our industries have been destroyed to such the point that now we are dependent on all of these foreign countries for all of these things because they've undercut us, they've taken away our innovation, and now we can't afford to compete with them. If we don't do something, go ahead.
It's legitimate
not me.
for poor countries.
Oh,
to
sorry.
continue
I hear
That way, it just went off. I apologize.
Here's the thing: if we don't protect ourselves now, in 10 years it'll be too late. And Biden, they ignored it. Okay, Trump was trying to stop it during his first term. He came out with some things. Biden kept the tariffs on China because it was helping so much, but they didn't go far enough.
Right.
So I don't want to go too deep on this. Okay, but
just so you know, Shane has a really good point. There isn't a single refrigerator that is made in North America.
Is that true?
As far as
it makes things in America, but
in the last 10 years, I just looked this up. Actually, it's when I was researching this. There isn't a single refrigerator that has been made in North America. There are parts that are made in North America, Mexico, etc. But the actual refrigerators come from other countries. It's assembled in other countries and brought here.
So the mistake that was made was we essentially allowed these countries to take advantage of us because it was monetarily beneficial to us initially. But the moment, and listen, a lot of us regular people saw the red flags. Our government should have been tariffing and protecting our products and our innovation along the way, but our politicians just didn't care. All they cared about was getting reelected and lining their own pockets. Fair, honestly. So it's going to be really hard to stay focused on this through what Trump's doing because there's going to be a little bit of pain. Listen, car prices are going to go up. Some things are going to go up. A lot of these tariffs are going to go away. Already, Vietnam is like, hey, look, we don't want to have a problem with you. Vietnam is not copying Nike and trying to sell them back to Americans as knockoff Nikes. Okay, that's not happening. Most of that big problem is happening in some other countries over there, but not in Vietnam. Okay, so what's going to happen is Vietnam's going to, and this is the reason why I put so much money in Nike, and this is not financial advice, by the way. I may be totally wrong, but I believe that what's going to happen with Nike is it's actually going to go well. We're going to end up with a good relationship with Vietnam. They're going to keep making their shoes. We don't want to make all the products back in the United States. Things like clothing and some of the smaller items, it doesn't make sense to bring them back to America to make them. But we do need to, and I don't think Trump really cares either. What he cares about is cars, steel, aircraft manufacturing. He wants to make sure that we can protect ourselves and bring enough industry back that have high paying jobs that middle-class Americans can once again do that. So it's going to be a little painful in the short term. If you don't need to buy a car in the short term, don't buy a car. Hold on to the vehicle you got. Avoid the things that are going up in price. Your food in our country should be okay as long as you're not trying to buy food that's being exported from other countries. There's going to be a little bit of pain for a short time, but then it's going to fix things. And over the course of the next several years, our economy is actually going to get stronger. And a lot of these countries are going to be forced to have deals with us where we're actually protecting our manufacturing, and some of it's going to come back here. And it's really going to make for a better life for a lot of Americans. So that's my pitch to you guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's also a strategy here and I'm just guessing, so this is my opinion, but some of these tariffs might not actually stick. They might be negotiation tactics.
100% they are. 100% they are. Most of it is. The real trouble here is coming from Asia, the Asian countries.
Right.
So we really need to focus in on them. The stuff happening in the UK, it's a leverage tactic. They're probably never going to sell our cars over there anyways. But we do need to protect our industry, and we need the manufacturing to come back here. So that's what they're trying to do. I will tell you this, what my strategy would have been. I would have been like, look, let's grab Canada and Mexico and huddle over here in the corner. Okay, we're on the same team. And I would have tried to bring them together to go against everybody else. Well, keep your neighbors close, work together.
Yeah, there's some exclusions, though, to these tariffs.
Right. If under USMC, there are exclusions. So we already had a deal with Canada and Mexico that Trump did during which was a redoing of NAFTA, which he did during his first term, which is good. There's beneficial car parts and different things that can be made here.
Yeah, T-shirts, fabric. So some of these tariffs don't even really matter because the largest when it comes to Mexico and Canada, because the majority of the stuff that is important are already excluded underneath that.
So a lot of the things are, but at the same time, What we have to make sure they don't do is they don't allow China and other countries to manufacture in their countries and sneak in under the USMC umbrella. And so what we have to do is we have to say, look, you guys are our friends. We're going to work together. We're on the same continent together. Let's do this together. But listen, you cannot allow these other countries to come in and mess up what we're doing here. And I think hopefully we'll get to that at some point.
And this is why I brought up refrigerators. This was my my foreshadowing. So, Kenneth said that Whirlpool is made in the U.S. Only their most expensive custom models are made in the U.S. because they can't be made other places. The rest of it's made in Mexico. And this is why it's important. Frigidaire is all made in Mexico, and a lot of the parts come from China. GE, their top custom freezer models are said to be made in America, but all the parts say they come from China and Mexico, and they're owned by the Chinese. LG is made in Korea, shipped from Korea to Mexico, and brought in the United States. Are you seeing a pattern here?
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, you can't blame these countries for doing this. We've allowed them to. Like, this isn't their fault. Being angry at these countries for taking advantage of us is not their fault. It's our fault.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Look at the pattern. Yeah. So every American that has a place of their own is going to require some type of refrigeration so that they can eat food. It's
like that with every product, Brian.
Yeah, but it's a necessary product that and only the custom, top end, most expensive stuff from one company is actually made here.
Right.
And the rest of it is owned by Asian countries and shipped through Mexico.
But that's a good story. That's one of the positive stories. At least there is a product that is made here. In most cases, most products are all made overseas. There is very little manufacturing that takes place in this country.
Right. And that's a problem because you stagnate as an all consumer nation. You can only consume for so long. If you don't start actually producing your own crap, you can only last for so long as a pure consumer.
Well, we consume almost 1/3 of the globe. We're the 1/3. We actually can set. So we should be able to set the rules. We consume, I mean, 1/3. Our country, 1/3 of the whole globe consuming. So we really can set the rules here. I think the ball is in Trump's court. If he handles it correctly, if he's making a lot of these as deals. We don't need our friends over in the UK and over there. I know he speaks harshly about our friends, which I understand there's trade imbalances, but we have to get to a point where we're all working together because the real problem in the room is China. And if we're not careful, their entire mode is to wipe us, is take our place. That's the entire mode of China. With all they want to accomplish, they've been doing that for. That's coming right through.
Yeah, I know. I can't sit.
Okay, so that I'm telling you right now, if we as a globe, we're all worried about Russia, right? NATO countries and all this stuff. We're all worried about Russia. What we need to be worried about is China. And so we've been saying this for 20 years, 30 years. Somebody's finally taken it seriously, and China's got almost 100% tariff on them at this point. Good.
Yeah, and just to put a button on that before we go to Super Chats, I do want to show that the same people that are criticizing Trump's on the reciprocal tariffs, we're saying the same thing that he's saying now 15 and 20 years ago. This is Nancy Pelosi. She's very popular. California senator. Here's what she's got to say about China, and I'm going to skip through as much as possible because it's actually very long. She goes deep on China.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking.
Listen, This is why I hate politicians so much. Their message is whatever is the opposite of their opposition.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. They just don't care. I mean, listen, our California state representative, Nancy Pelosi, fighting to make sure that China is not hurting the United States. What's happening today? Why are we tariffing China so much?
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. This version of Nancy Pelosi, I'm voting for.
Of course, because the Republicans were fighting for more. At that time in the 90s, we weren't being hurt yet. Not yet. It was starting to happen, but until Amazon and all these online companies where China could come in and cut out the middleman, us, came along, it wasn't that bad.
I'm gonna put this in the link for this clip. I'm gonna put that video because it's about 6 minutes long, and I'm telling you, she makes nothing but good points for 6 minutes straight on why reciprocal tariffs are required and how China is eating our lunch. And I'm just confused as to what happened in the last 20 years.
And if you guys think Donald Trump is crazy, Brian, can you quickly pull up, just Google this, Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump tariffs.
Further,
in 1980,
what would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies.
Donald Trump had this to say about tariffs in 1988.
By the way, I already had this ready. That's funny.
Great. Yeah. Great.
What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And
Go ahead.
Keep going.
Okay.
I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad.
So, I mean, that's foresight, right? This is the guy, he was 41 years old at this time.
Yeah, younger than
and
me.
This is a guy who was tired of it then. He saw it then, and he knew that tariffs were the only way we could protect our country at that time. If you can turn Obama off for me in the background.
Is he playing? I apologize.
Yeah, he just likes to run.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's pretty much. You're not going to hear why tariffs are bad for us because truly nobody knows exactly what's going to happen going forward because we haven't had a tariff policy since post World War I. So,
yeah, and that's another thing too. Like this is not. So that okay. So the moves he's making are historical. Now, whether it ends up in a Great Depression or if it actually fixes, the problem, is not really based on his 4 years. It's also based on how people respond and how people maintain this after he's gone in 3 years, right?
100% true.
But this is not really that new. Before the First World War, tariffs were a big part of the way we dealt with the world. And guess what wasn't? Income tax.
We had no income tax. You're right.
So the wealthiest point in our country's history were based on tariffs and not taxes.
That's arguable, but yeah. I don't think we were as wealthy at the time based on other nations.
Well,
Still.
Before we had crippling disastrous debt. Right.
Well, the reason why we have so much debt is because the fact that, we've allowed ourselves to get into debt because we're like, who's going to stop us? After we came off the gold standard, it just became the way of, we can just print whatever money we need. Of course, we've seen that that's what destroys countries. So listen.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Elon and his boys to go to Fort Knox and see if there's gold there.
Yeah, I think It's funny. They always bring up these things and they never happen. It's a little disappointing.
Yeah. So we do have some super chats from Jeremiah. So you're saying terrorists are a good thing and people need to suck it up and admit it's good. He actually meant, and thank you for the $5, Jeremiah. He sent
Thank you,
another
Jeremiah.
super chat for $2 later. He goes, I meant the trade war.
I was trying to figure out where you were going there, Jeremiah.
So what he meant to say in his original post was you're saying the trade war is a good thing and people need to suck it up and admit it's good.
Yeah, the trade war is really good, and I'll tell you why. If you're an American listening to this, they're going to win. We're going to win because the problem is that we consume too much product. Who are these other countries going to sell to? And that's really the problem. At some point, they're going to have to bend the knee. And here's the thing. Trump, I know, seems like he's really unwavering, but he's not. He is very flexible. He talks tough, and then he makes deals in the background. So
yeah, he's a deal maker.
Yeah.
Remember that, like the version of Trump you see, acting as big and bold as possible is not the same Trump that is on a phone call after that. This is negotiating trick. He usually charms the crap out of these people and makes a deal. That's what he likes to do. He likes to make deals.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen with a lot of these tariffs is initially they're going to get eaten by the people who are manufacturing because they have the most cost ratio. They actually have the most to give. So like I gave an example the other day. People didn't believe me. It costs about $4 to make a Nike t-shirt in Vietnam. About $4.
Yep.
Over here, it would cost like $14 to make it. So there's a lot of room for them to eat some of the tariff, and then Nike's going to eat a little bit of the tariff. And by the time it gets to the consumer, there's going to be very little movement, I think. Now, on cars, that may be different, but on your small products that everybody needs on your day-to-day life to live, I really think we're going to see a very small increase.
You know what drives me nuts when people argue with us about the cost of clothing, when that is our business for the last 25 years? It does. It literally costs $3 to $4 to make a t-shirt in Singapore. And over here, because the cost of labor and goods and rent and electricity and all the factors, it's like $14.
Yeah.
And you add shipping to that. This is why the only way American clothing companies were able to compete in the global market, or I'm sorry, in the domestic market, were shipping rates. Because they can make that shirt for $14 and ship it for $5.
Right.
And when the guy in China or Singapore or whatever made it for $4, but it cost them $15. And it all evened out until the dummies decided to give them free shipping, essentially, to subsidize the shipping and allow them to send product here for $2 a pop. And that's when websites like Wish and Temu popped up, and you're buying these ultra cheap, literally cheap in every way, and inexpensive items, and you're waiting a month and a half for it, but you're getting it for $4, right?
Right.
Well, when the second they started subsidizing the shipping, I asked Shane the question, why are they doing that? It makes no sense. It's only anti-American to subsidize China's shipping, because the only way we were able to compete as Americans in the American market was because our shipping was affordable.
Right.
And I still, to this day, don't understand why we decided to subsidize their shipping. It's the most anti-American decision when it comes to trade I can think of.
Yeah. Well, we didn't subsidize it explicitly. They used the rules to subsidize it themselves.
Right.
So it wasn't that. And also they started putting in local businesses. So the Chinese started, and because we're not allowed to buy any property in China, but China's allowed to buy American property. This is a very stupid rule. I do not know why it exists. They started putting up these businesses so that way they could ship their product here and then sell it domestically. Now imagine us going to China and setting up a business and selling to their domestic. Oh, they would never allow that to happen. But we have allowed that to happen over. Anyways, we could talk about this all day long. We got a lot of experience, but hopefully this has explained a little bit to you guys, made you feel a little better about what's happening with the tariffs, and hopefully help you understand like where it's coming from and where we could possibly be going with it. It's a good thing. We just need to relax, wait and see. and hopefully Trump has a plan to like ease things as they get difficult for certain groups, and we'll see what happens.
I agree with that, Shane. Giraffe says, "How dare you call those shirts cheap? There's an 8-year-old in a sweatshop crying now. He did a good job."
That's true. I think they pay him like 25 to 50 cents an hour. The people, and then God knows how many children they're paying nothing to work.
It's so wild hearing Nancy Pelosi says trade and human rights go hand in hand. And she was referencing like sweatshops and stuff. Like, it's not fair.
Bad then, bro.
It's not fair to the little kid that you're paying him 50 cents an hour. And it's obviously not fair to the American companies who are paying, 400 times that. So it's such a crazy concept.
The big businesses all said, "Shut up, shut up. We're making
shut
so
up,
much
Nancy.
money."
Take your payout. Take your money. Yeah,
Right.
no, this is why. All right,
Yeah,
let's
big
move on
business
from
is
this.
going to have to take the pill on this one.
Hey, you got a super chat from Dutch. What's up, man? I think it's Dutch. Faulty Nerd Gaming. Thanks, man. Good, not super chat,
What's
but
up,
chat.
buddy?
Hey there, my dudes. Hey, brother. Hope everything's good over there, man.
See you in a couple weeks.
That's right. That's right. I'm really hoping that I can join Shane on that trip. I'm really hoping I can, but I just got back from Arizona and I couldn't afford that, so we'll see. If enough super chats come in, maybe I can go to Vegas with you. All right, let's talk.
Like guilty. I like it.
Let's talk about this Impractical Joker thing.
All right.
So, if you've ever seen Impractical Jokers, they are quite a beloved team of jokers, essentially.
An ample name.
Yeah.
That's the correct name. Yeah.
So this is the Jokers. They started off as a comedy troupe called the Tenderloins, which I think is funny. They got a cool TV show where they basically, it's hard to explain. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. They're very funny. They play pranks on each other. There's punishments involved. They're sort of crazy and ridiculous. It's great.
Everybody's seen this show. I'm sorry. If you haven't seen this show, I don't know what rock you're under. You got Joe Gatto there in the front, and then if you've already moved on, you've got Murr on the end, who actually started the Tenderloin troupe, the guy in the end.
Yeah. So you got Murr, Sal, Joe, and Q. Right?
There you go.
Brian Quinn. Okay. So
Joe's the funniest, by the way.
what's that?
Joe's the funniest.
Yeah,
The guy
Joe was the funniest, probably. Yeah. So what happened was Joe Gatto left the Impractical Jokers 2 seasons ago, and a lot of people theorize it was because he was having, it was what he said too. He was having family issues. He left his wife. His wife at the time were separated. He had kids, and there's a whole
You could
thing.
only run around a grocery store so many times, pinning things to people's shirts.
And to be fair, yeah, I had the same thought.
Yeah.
At what point do you move on from Impractical Jokers and start your actual comedy career? Because you can only do the same bit
Yes.
for so long, and we're on like season 20 of this thing. We're like, guys, come on.
And we're really just waiting for the punishment anyways. Like everything else is just a tease to the punishment.
It's just
at the
set
end.
up for
All
the
we
punishment.
want to see. Yeah.
Someone made a really funny joke. They're like, what if these sexual assault allegations are just a long form punishment?
Yeah, I like that. That's
All right,
listen,
Joe, you
If you're gonna leave
lost.
the show.
You got to take 2 seasons off and get canceled.
Surprise! Nothing happened.
So what happened was former Impractical Joker star Joe Gatto cancels tour, checks in a treatment facility after sexual assault allegations.
Damn. Wait. Think about that. Wait. Hold on. Go back. He canceled the tour. He checks into a treatment facility and sexual allegations. I mean, like boom, boom, boom.
Right.
That's not good.
Right. Now, here's the whole story. And I really wish that I can actually show you the video of the TikToker, because it was a TikToker that accused Joe Gatto of sexual assault.
Yeah,
But
it was a girl.
apparently, other YouTubers that were showing that video were getting copyright claimed. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you the basic story. What she did was she came on TikTok and she goes, and this was right after Joe finally got back with his wife, they were separated for a long time. It looks like he was finally getting his life back on track, right? Getting his wife and kids back, all that. She comes on And at the time she was 19. And she says, Joe Gatto sexually assaulted me. She literally starts the conversation out essentially with that. And I'm paraphrasing. And the story was when he was separated from his wife, a 19-year-old groupie essentially was invited to his hotel room. She went there at 2 a.m. She admittedly was drunk, woke up the next day sober, regretted the fact that she spent the night with Joe Gatto. That was the entire story. She dragged it out.
I would regret that as well.
I mean, sure.
He's not what you would call an attractive man.
No, but let me ask you a question, Shane.
Yeah.
You would regret that. But when you then go on social media and say, and call that sexual assault?
Would I call it sexual assault?
Right.
Only if I wanted to get paid.
That's
like
the
if
rub.
I wanted to get some money out of this deal, 100%. Now, or if I was actually sexually assaulted, which who knows, that could be the case. Also, we do need to point out, and thank you, Monkey Jeebus. Murr also did get sexual assault allegations against him days after Joe did.
Yeah, that's a completely different situation.
But we should mention it.
Yeah. So when you say she was 16 at the time, you're referring to the person that accused Murr of the inappropriate text messages from the UK. The person who accused Joe was here in the States, and she was 19.
Right.
That's important. And nothing illegal happened with the Murr allegations, as I guess the inappropriate text messages took place in the UK, and I guess the age of consent is 16.
16, it is, yes.
And
ask Russell Brand.
And I'm not talking a lot about that story because that's still panning out, and I don't know how it works.
Okay.
I do know a lot about the Joe Gatto story. The Joe Gatto story, from my perspective, is a 19-year-old fan of Impractical Jokers and Joe, had a drawn-out conversation with Joe. He invited her to her hotel room at 2 a.m.
Okay, hold on. Stop. That's the number one mistake right there. So he invited her to his hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning, a 19-year-old. What is he, 50? How old is Joe?
Well, I mean, I know you can call it gross, but I can also say, who cares?
Well, what I'm going to tell you is that whenever a 48-year-old man invites a 19-year-old to your hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning, it could be argued that you don't have good intentions.
No, he 100% did not have good intentions. He wanted to have a sexual dalliance with this woman, of course.
Right. But did she want to have a sexual dalliance with him?
He went to his hotel room drunk at 2 a.m.
Oh, we can't do that. Are we just going to blame somebody for that?
I'm not blaming her. What did you think?
Did she wear a short
plan?
skirt? Wait.
No. I'm not saying that.
Skin?
I'm saying this woman
I know. I'm just like,
went to a.
That's the way it used to be.
I'm not doing the uniform. She's wearing the uniform, right? I'm not saying that.
Common, yo.
I'm saying that common sense would dictate.
Yeah.
That the person inviting you up to their room at 2 a.m, hotel room at 2 a.m, doesn't want to just sign your autographs. Now, to be fair, too, she admitted to consenting to it, but she was drunk.
Wait. Oh, so she admitted to consenting. That's interesting.
Right. So she calls this sexual assault, but essentially she went up to his room at 2 a.m. She spent the night with Joe Gatto, woke up sober the next morning, regretted it, and then she decided to define that as sexual assault.
Well, see, there's a rule I don't like, and I've been arguing against this for a long time. You know, there came out this thing back in the late 90s where unless a woman has to say yes, right, you can't just assume she wants to. You know, you need to actually hear the word yes, and that was like tough enough because nothing ruins a good, steamy situation with a partner of the opposite sex or same sex, however you like it, by saying, listen, I need to hear consent that you would like to get into this and do this.
I'm going to need you to sign here, initial here.
Right.
And my friend here is a notarizer. He's going to notarize this document.
Wait, there's a third person in the room? No.
He's like, hello, ma'am. He comes out of the shadows with a stamp. Great. You guys are good to engage in sexual activity.
Like, right. By then the mood's gone. But here's the thing. Here's what makes it even worse. And this is what came out at the same time is even if a woman is saying, yes, I want to do this. If she's been drinking, then that yes is nullified. So at some point there has to be, you have to take responsibility for your actions. And I did not like the fact that even though someone was saying yes, if they were intoxicated, that yes didn't count. And now all of a sudden you have to be responsible for understanding how much another person's inebriated.
Right.
Which became very complicated.
How much, understand the brain power do they have left? How much do they drink?
It was about this time that men in our country started taking a real shift on how we interacted with women.
Right.
Not being alone with women, being the separation of men and women started at about this time when you can totally understand that, sexual assault can be something. I mean, we were raised where when I was a kid, it was like, if she's saying no, that she's just teasing. Like she wants you to go push further. Right. And listen, as a man growing up, a young man, that is what we were told.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to. And then you push a little further, and maybe she gives in a little bit. Right. That was wrong, but we didn't know it at the time, and think times change. But the pendulum swung so far that now you end up in a situation where you can consent, but then say, I didn't really want to do it. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so what happened was after the accusation, remember, shortly after this hookup, he did reconnect with his wife, and he got back with his wife, his longtime wife, before he was successful, before he had money and everything, right? So he connects back to his wife, and he makes this whole Instagram post where he says, I'm so happy back with my wife, and blah, 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 back with my family, and everything is great.
That's a great opportunity for blackmail. That's when you do it.
Right.
Everything's going great. I need some cash, Joe.
And the going theory is that this woman was getting ghosted by Joe. Then she sees his Instagram post saying that he got back with his wife. She probably hit him up. He denied her. And here we are.
Yeah, and of course, we don't know the whole facts of the case, so we don't want to say that nothing inappropriate happened, although it does seem weird. And you're telling me, I haven't read this myself, but if you're telling me she said, everything was consensual, but I was drinking, so now I don't feel like it was consensual, that's when things become pretty gray. And
she takes the idea of a short 1 minute TikTok and she really drags that out into a long, drawn out live stream. That's apparently being copyright claimed by who knows who. I don't even know. I didn't even know you can copyright claim TikTok. That's a new thing to me. But
you never know with YouTube.
Yeah. All I know is this. We don't want to go down that road again.
When you learn, when you get smacked. That's when you
get smacked by YouTube several times. But here's the deal. We don't know the whole picture, but I do know this, that sexual assault, the definition of sexual assault is not what this person's story is. Now, if there is more to that story than she decided to share, okay. But the story she shared is not sexual assault. That's regrettable sex. That's what you meant to say.
Makes sense.
And there are a lot of people who are split on this, because there are people that are supporting Joe and saying, who is this random person? And there's people that, of course, are always, the same crowd where it's like, believe all women, et cetera, unless they're conservative, believe all women, blah. So you have a whole split audience on this. And then additionally, a week ago, you have the thing with Murr and that kid, and a lot of people are making jokes. And look, 16 is still a child, okay? I know that that's the age of consent in UK or whatever. Remember, he didn't actually have physical...
19 is still a child. 19 is still a child.
Yeah, 19 is still a child, yeah. He didn't have physical contact with her. He didn't do anything illegal. She even says that. Nothing was illegal was done. It's just gross. I get it. So now the joke is, we lost Joe. Are we going to lose Murr next? Is the next season of Impractical Jokers just going to be Sal and Q?
It can't, because nothing will happen. They simply can't exist together.
Yeah, they can't. They cannot do Impractical Jokers without Murr. If Murr goes, the show is over.
They are the doers upon, not the doers to.
Right.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So I really hope that all this gets sorted out. I do love the Impractical Jokers, and I actually like Murr. I think he's funny. I loved
him right until Joe left. Then I stopped watching.
I hope that I get it. They're dudes. You know, gross dudes with a bunch of money. I know a lot of people like
gross
that.
Old dudes with a bunch of money.
Yeah, but gross. I get that. I hope that nothing was really, really happened that was horrible.
I hope so. Yeah.
You know, for their sake and the sake of her sake. Yeah, so for everyone's sake. So that's it. That's the whole story. I don't know if I have anything else to add to this.
Well, that was fun.
It'd be hilarious though. This is just one long, drawn out punishment.
Well, like I said,
the series finale is them revealing the punishment.
Right, that would be hilarious.
Joe went to prison for 4 years. He was his accuser. She was in on it the whole time. And Joe's like, ah!
Well, what's funny is the headline really spells everything going on with Joe. Right? He cancels his tour, checks into a treatment facility, and sexual assault. I mean, it's just, Joe, get your life back together, buddy.
I think he's trying to get this all to go away as quick as possible because he just got back with his wife. Like, he finally got her to take him back.
Yeah.
It's just like, Joe, what's this going on? He's like, oh, damn it.
All right, let's move on.
All right, moving on. Well, let's talk about, which one you want to talk about?
Well, we can't talk about another sexual assault one.
Yeah, because the Russell Brand thing happened too.
We should have almost thrown that one in there because the Russell Brand one is very similar, but I think he's a little more questionable, the stuff he did. So,
I mean, okay, just to quickly talk about that.
Okay,
everything Russell Brand did prior to like 6 years ago was questionable.
100%. Yeah.
The you know what? No one needed. No one needed to get sober and find Jesus more than Russell Brand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Russell Brand. If you go back to what's that? Sarah Marshall. What's that?
Saving.
No, that's the other one.
Saving Sarah. No.
Anyways,
get him to the Greek.
No. It was that. That's bad too. But forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Sarah Marshall. Yeah, that's right.
So forgetting Sarah Marshall, Russell Brand was not playing anyone but Russell Brand. He was not playing a character.
Yeah.
He was himself. And if you watch that movie, he is sexually toward. It's flooring some of the things.
Same with Get Him to the Greek. He was literally just playing himself. And he was playing himself hanging out with P. Diddy. Like, bro, like it couldn't have been more prophetic. It's crazy.
So yeah, Russell Brand, listen, if you tell me that guy's going to court, he has been accused of multiple problems, explicitly with a 16-year-old actually sending a car to her school to pick her up. Now, like you said earlier, the rule for in the UK is 16 years old, which I don't agree with, but that's their country and their laws. So we'll see how that pans out. But he is sexually, what's the right word? When you maybe not assault, but sexually done things, been sexual.
He was a straight up pervert.
So yeah. So if being a pervert is illegal, he's going to jail for a long time. But I have a feeling that it probably isn't, and it's a sign of the times. And most people just kind of rubbed it off. We'll see what ends up happening, but I think he's in more trouble than Joe for sure.
Yeah, he's in more trouble than Joe. But then, this can we also don't know how true any of this is, by the way.
Well, no, unfortunately, he admits to quite a bit of stuff, and he has so many things.
Right,
he admits to the relationship with the girl, but he's saying it was legal.
Right.
The problem is that what he's saying is now that he's become this like very popular anti-establishment, anti-government kind of influencer, that's the reason they're coming after him, because this did happen a long time ago. So I don't know if there's a statute of limitations in the UK or what's going on, but he's seeing this as the way that they're coming after him, that they wouldn't have done this had he just continued being,
his normal self.
Yeah.
Which might be true, actually.
Katy Perry corrupted him. That's funny. She is a little bit interesting herself.
Yeah, she is corruption incarnate. All right. Let's talk about Minecraft the movie.
Oh, we're really going to do this. Okay.
Yeah, we have to get it out of the way because it's making a ton of money.
I haven't seen it yet.
We're not going to review it.
Oh.
We're going to talk about why this is important for Warner Brothers. This is from Deadline. A Minecraft movie mania
And
grips.
why it's bad. Wait, hold on. And why it's bad for society. But go ahead.
Right, sure, okay. A Minecraft movie mania grips the nation. Opening now at $135 million plus for Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures. All right, this is what it says.
I hate Legendary Pictures, by the way.
We're getting reports of auditoriums full of middle schoolers hooting, hollering, and shouting out meme lines from the game. Kids are jumping on top of seats and dancing in the aisle when Jack Black breaks out in song.
Dude, Jack Black was also in Super Mario movie.
That's true. Yeah.
That dude's got a lot of money.
A Minecraft movie mania is real, and ticket sales keep building up like bricks. Now at 58 million for Friday, including last night's 10 million, with an opening weekend now heading for 135 million plus, the best of 2024 to date. Some rivals.
2025.
I'm sorry, 2025. Thank you. 2025 to date. Thank you. Some rivals have it closer to 145 to 155 million, but today we determine if we get to that level. You'll remember that Barbie opened at $162 million and had big male counter programming in the marketplace in Oppenheimer at $84 million opening. If a Minecraft movie exceeds $146 million, it's the biggest video game movie opening ever, outdoing Mario Brothers.
Well, listen, Mario Brothers missed its window. So the problem is like everybody knew Mario Brothers, right? Mario Brothers came out in the 80s, right? And it ran its popularity. Arguably, it dropped in popularity throughout the years, but it was its most popular probably in the early 90s. Minecraft started becoming popular in the early 2000s and has just gotten more popular and more popular. And I would argue that it's at its peak now in popularity. And you have my oldest son, who's 25, excited about Minecraft, all the way down to my youngest son, who's 12, who is demanding to see the movie and he will not eat until it happens. So honestly, they talk about hitting your moment in history. It should just blow Mario Brothers out of the water. And Mario Brothers made $1 billion.
Right.
Now, unless China decides they're going to, wimp out on all this trade stuff and not allow the Minecraft movie in their country, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't I think everything you're saying is right.
But I hear the but coming.
Yeah, well, but these movies that are like very successful early because of the kids and all that,
yeah,
tend to drop off pretty hard. They don't really have legs.
No, there won't be any legs for sure. But you got to remember, there's a lot of kids in there's a lot of adults in their early 20s who may not come out to see it right away, but they should continue watching it. And remember, every ticket that a kid has, a parent also has to buy a ticket. So, this movie is going to kick the ass of anything else that comes out. Maybe Superman beats it, maybe. But the problem is a lot of kids are not going to want to go see Superman. And the parents are going to have to get, a babysitter and go watch it by themselves. And that's 2 less or 3 less tickets that they're going to sell. So I predict right now, Minecraft is the #1 movie of the year. Box office.
Wow. That's a strong statement in a movie with Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic World.
100%. And listen, I could be wrong, but now kids are going to want to see Jurassic World, but I'll just tell you, I talked about all 4 of these movies with my kids. Okay. I said, guys, let's see what's coming up this year. What are we going to watch? We got Superman. They're like, meh. They got Fantastic Four. They're like, who's that? And then they've got Jurassic World. And they're like, another one of those. And I said, in the Minecraft movie, they're like, yeah, Minecraft. Yeah. So I'm just saying, for kids who do not want to go to the movies, they're not going to be asking to go see dinosaurs.
Okay.
They want to go see Jack Black make an idiot of himself.
So this is actually very important because you mentioned Superman, right?
Yes.
something that James Gunn did that was very smart, or Peter Safran, who knows, someone at DCU,
Somebody over there
decided to put the Superman sneak peek ahead of Minecraft.
smart,
So instead of all the trailers you would normally get,
and they get control of that because they own both movies.
right? Instead of all the trailers you would normally get at a movie, you got this long sort of like sneak peek of Superman.
Yeah.
And the dog and all that stuff. And so kids that might not be interested in Superman right now are going to see
the dog.
they're going to see this movie and they're seeing this. Now here's what they're saying. And I'm going to be real careful not to get a copyright claim, but here we go. Tell me, was this not smart to put ahead of the Minecraft movie if you're trying to get
I
that
think
kid
so.
zone?
Yeah. No, I do for the kids, but it makes me want to watch the movie so much less.
Well,
Personally. But I know kids are the target. I get it.
yeah, you haven't seen the actual I believe the real trailer, the actual trailer, full trailer is going to drop on the 18th of this month.
Yeah, no, that's going to be better. Now, this is great for kids. They should have done it. It's a little long. Is this how long it is?
Oh no, yeah, it's actually longer.
Jesus.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So he goes to the very Superman 78 style, like Superman 78. Like if you were gonna modernize that, it should. No, you're right. No, yeah, you're right. It should look like that.
But hey, listen, James Gunn is our age, so he gets it.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
There's the Superman look, it's super rad. I'll stop before the copyright claim hits it. Basically, guys, he gets hit with a big old giant dose of sun. His body starts to heal. It's painful. And then it goes into like the trailer we've already seen, essentially. Like, it goes into this trailer.
I mean, I definitely want to see this movie.
Let's say he's back. So the only thing that's really different about
Who says he's back?
Lex.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that's really different about this, the end of the teaser than the original teaser we saw, was they basically have dialogue where Lex says he's looking out the window and he says he's back, referring to Superman, I'm assuming.
Okay, so this is somewhere in the middle of the movie.
It's got to be.
Which is fine. They had to find the thing that was going to get the kids to come see it. That's it.
Yeah, you know what? A giant kaiju and a cute dog and some cool
This is
music.
what kids want to see. Maybe,
Hot girl.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you whether it's successful or not on Sunday night. I'm going to take the kids to see the Minecraft movie because I want them to eat again, and they're really starting to worry me. But if they play this, after we watch the Minecraft movie, I'm going to be like, hey, what did you think of that thing they showed us at the beginning of Minecraft? If they're like, yeah, it looks good, I'll ask them if they want to go to the theater to see it. Then we'll know. Because my kid is like every other kid. That's it.
That's true, I suppose.
Now, you can't ask your kids because they know how much you love Superman, and they're just going to want to make you happy.
No. I can't ask my kids because one kid doesn't care about most of the stuff I care about. But the coder kid that I showed you guys earlier, she loves all this crap. Like, she wears Superman t-shirts. She loves the Flash. Like, she loves the superhero stuff. It's probably because I showed her, because that's all we watched. So for her, for your kids, their childhood is not Superman.
I feel bad for
But for my kids, their childhood is Superman. Like they're still in their childhood, but like 8 years ago, we were watching the cartoon Superman. So from her perspective, this is like her favorite cartoon.
My poor kids are watching 70s and 80s science fiction and westerns. And I'm sorry, kids. Sorry.
It's not working out.
Yeah.
Someone did say, and this is important to bring up, Monkey Jeebus said Fortnite movie will burn everything in its wake. You know what? I think you're right. A Fortnite movie would make an insane amount of money.
They need to wait, though.
However, this is very important to note. I'm glad you brought that up. Our old friend Daniel RPK, remember that guy?
Oh yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah, he basically said that.
I don't hate that guy. Let me take that back. I don't hate that guy. I just don't respect him. Go ahead.
I don't know, but I made it very clear. I made it clear on the South Nerd Show. He is a straight up con artist.
Yes,
he's a scammer and a con artist. You should not believe a word he says. I have no clue why he's begotten so popular when everything he says is false. He throws everything at the wall and a couple things stick and he goes, "Oh, look, I'm right." Like he's right. He's right 3% of the time, guys. Come on.
Because they only talk about the things he's right about, and they don't talk about the 97% of things he's wrong about. And because our culture is always moving forward and not looking back, this is the problem.
And he deletes things when he's wrong, like this one. In a now deleted post on Twitter, Daniel RPK wrote, "You just know Fortnite is next. There was already talk of a Fortnite movie, but some studios passed on it. That's obviously going to change now. Tim Sweeney, by the way, the CEO of Epic Games, who owns Fortnite, said with one word, false."
And that's why the tweet was deleted.
Right. False. Incorrect. This is why you cannot trust Daniel RPK. But that's important. The guys,
they're going to need to make Fortnite in about 5 or 6 years is when they got to make Fortnite. When Fortnite reaches its ultimate popularity and the kids. So right now, Fortnite is really popular with young people.
Right.
It needs to get into the adult ages. There needs to be some sort of reminiscent. There needs to be some sort of like kids who have nostalgia, young adults. Until it gets to that point, you're not going to make enough money. So you might as well hold off on it.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And that, you know what, that guy, Tim Sweeney, he probably knows that. He's like, no, we're going to ride this thing for another like 5 to 10 years.
Oh yeah.
And then when you have 3 generations of people lovingly either remembering or currently playing whatever version of Fortnite there is,
plus their parents,
you
get all 4 generations to have to go watch the movie.
That's when we go, it's movie time.
That's what Minecraft's doing.
Yeah, that's when it's going to burn everything down. You're 100% right.
Yeah, 100% right.
Oh my God.
By the way, we are available for consultation anytime you like to talk about these things.
It's so crazy to me that people give that Daniel RBK guy any credit. It actually drives me nuts when I see posts. Actually, Daniel RBK, known leaker, said, and I'm like, hold up, everything you're saying right now is mute, because the moment you mention his name, I don't trust a word you're saying.
Well, don't just say Daniel RPK. Where does he come from?
He comes from GFR, giant freaking robot.
Giant freaking robot. So we should need to make sure we mention all of them so people don't believe anything GFR ever says. Or Daniel RPK.
Yeah. Do not yeah. Anything giant freaking robot post is probably bullcrap. Anything Daniel RPK post is probably fake. They just throw everything at the wall to get as much attention as possible. And by the way, someone on Salty Nerve was like, well, Daniel RBK said he saw the screener and he liked it. And I'm like, that's cool. Cool that he said that. I still don't believe him. Like, just because he says something I like doesn't mean he's right.
True.
Anyways.
Anybody can lie about shit. You know, when you legitimize somebody, you know, that's the thing, is he got legitimized and that got, you know, reverberated over and over and over again. And people just assume that he's a insider with knowledge. He's nobody.
He's no one. Yeah. And what do they say? Hate the player, not the game?
Yeah, we can hate the game too.
Yeah, we can hate it all. All right, let's speaking of the game, let's talk a little bit about immigration, Shane, because this is actually pretty important. You gave me a story earlier about the Ukrainians that fled war, fearing deportation under Trump. I want to also talk about the recent super news about the loving father who was ripped from the arms of his family and taken to El Salvador.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that. That's the stuff you gotta. It's difficult not to be influenced by some of this news because, you know, everything's being packaged. There is no more truth. There's no more, you know, being honorable and making sure you're giving people the right information. There's no consequences, so nobody cares.
Right.
And then you end up with things like this.
Yeah, this is from the AP. Trump administration argues judge can't order return of man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. See, this headline is really
mistakenly deported. So the news media, AP, has already decided that that's what it was because the judge decided, and the judge is a, left-leaning, will do whatever it takes to stop Trump guy. Go ahead.
So they're saying mistakenly. That's the problem. This verbiage is so misleading.
Right.
First off, the guy is an illegal immigrant, former gang member, MS-13 gang member, and he was already ordered to leave years ago. This was not a mistaken deportation in the sense where they pulled a loving father, citizen, or whatever, Hispanic guy, and dragged him to El Salvador. That's what they make it sound like.
By the way, he's from El Salvador. Just heads up.
Right.
So a lot of people are being deported to El Salvador that are dangerous because they got a prison there. This guy's actually from that country. So just heads up.
So what happened was judges are trying to stop these deportations. I don't know why. I don't know why a judge would want to stop the deportation of MS-13 gang members.
Why would you say I don't know why? You know exactly why.
Sorry, I don't know why logically they would want to do that.
You know that too, though.
No. Like there's no logical reason.
It doesn't.
That's
matter.
not logical. That's emotional.
Well, it's logical if you look at the way politics work, then it is logical. It's not emotional. They're not making it emotional. You think they want that guy in the country? Hell no, they don't want that guy in the country. But if it's opposite,
well, it doesn't affect them, so they don't care.
They do want them in the country. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just saying. I hear you saying I don't know why. The reality is we all know why. Right? Because this is the type of story that's going to allow them to amplify the message that what Trump is doing is wrong.
Right.
It takes one instance to make everything seem like it's bad, right?
Right.
That's why they're doing it.
Okay, so here's the whole story. The guy's name is Aprejo Garcia. He fled El Salvador in 2011. This is what the AP says. Because his family were facing threats by local gangs. What they don't tell you is he was actually a member of MS-13. So when he, quote-unquote, fled El Salvador, he came to the United States and he got a job as a sheet metal apprentice. He had a permit to work in the United States. That permit ran out a long, long time ago. He was then ordered to go back, leave the United States, and he ignored those orders. And another thing that is quick side quest here. The people that are spitting out these like long, drawn out, emotional, manipulative posts about how they're being deported and they've been here for 20 years.
Right.
Like, I feel sorry for them, but then my logical brain, my pragmatic brain goes, wait a minute, you had 20 years to sort this out?
It's true. That's a long time, more than 20 years. 2011? Well, no, not more than 20 years, 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but like my brain immediately, like I feel sorry for them until I realize how long they had to renew their visa or whatever.
They were never intending to leave though, bro. Like they knew they were going to come here, even though they were told they got to go to court. In their minds, they were like, well, no matter what a court says, no matter what else happens, I'm never leaving this country. So there was never, there's no intended, like I'm coming here because, I feel like I'm in danger in my own country and I need protection from your country. That's just something they say so that they can beat our laws. It's not actually how they feel. They're looking for a better life. And listen, more power to them. I don't blame them for doing that. But their intention is never to leave. So they don't want to go through the court system. It's just they're trying to get through it.
Right. That's a good point. So the mistake that they say that they said that it was a mistake when they said they mistakenly deported him to El Salvador. They say those words on purpose that it makes it seem like it's this American citizen loving guy that was just targeted because he's Hispanic or whatever. Actually, they were doing the due process and knocking people off the list. And as they did that, so he's on this big long list, right? And they're cutting people off the list because of their due process. They're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And as they do that, he's slowly coming up the list to make it into that 200 because of the other people they took off the list because they weren't bad enough, or they had done their paperwork or whatever. So in the process of them doing their paperwork, he moved up the list until he was put into that position to be sent back to El Salvador.
Yeah, and so
that's the administrative error they're referring to. He was already on the list, guys.
He was on the list because they keep saying there's no proof that he was an MS-13 gang member, but the administration has said over and over again that they have intelligence reports that he's involved in human trafficking and he's an MS-13 gang member, or at least one time was. But here's the thing. He came to the country illegally. He didn't go through the vetting process like he was, and he's tried to stay in the country. And now that they have intelligence that he's this, he's going to go. But here's the thing that's disgusting. He's already broken all these rules. Our courts now want, and it wouldn't be if there was another president in office.
Right.
They want them to prove in a court of law. They want to give him, the rights of a citizen, that he has the rights to a hearing, to go through the courts to determine that he should be deported. Bullshit. The moment you come across this country, you get your paperwork, you don't show up in front of your judge, you don't leave when you're supposed to leave, your ass needs to go. Okay. And I support 100%. Right now, we allow 1 million people into this country legally. I think we need to up that to 2 million people, and they need to come through ports of entry, and they need to be vetted, and then we need to have people coming in this country legally. Our birth rates are dropping. We do need people to come in this country, but they got to come in through ports of entry legally the right way. This is not the way to do it. These people need to go. If you're a good guy, come on back. Do it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. You're completely right. And this is the most important part about this. Everyone keeps saying they deserve due process. Number one, they're getting the due process they're deserved. They are not American citizens. Therefore, they are not getting the due process that you as a citizen deserve. What they are getting is the amount of due process them as illegal immigrants deserve. They came into this country illegally. The people that are saying they did nothing illegally, they did nothing illegal. Well, first off, they literally started off their quest with us illegally. Number one.
If you do it legally, you go through a port of entry.
Right.
If they didn't go through a port of entry, it's illegal. Period.
The end. Right. So yes, they're getting the due process that they're required to get by law. Number two, and this is actually really important. It's hard not to stress this enough. We do not know and I'm not going to keep making this argument for a safe border. We do not know the people that are coming in. We don't know their ties to other countries. We don't know what they're into. We don't even know their real names most of the time. There has to be secure borders to make sure our nation and our people inside the nation are protected. It's just that simple. And if you are on the list, right? If you came here illegally and you're being deported, it's because you didn't go through the correct port, you didn't get your paperwork in order, and that's the requirement. And I don't understand why everyone's so mad that the requirement is to do the paperwork correctly. I know it costs money or time. That's the fact. I'm sorry you were born in another country. That sucks. Sucks for you.
It does. It's
you got to figure it out though, man.
Everybody can't be born in America. Okay. And it is the way it is, but we can't listen. People are going to leave this country that aren't bad people. They just came here the wrong way and they're going to have to leave because of the path of citizenship that the Democrats are trying. I mean, it just blew my mind hearing that Biden's administration was flying people from foreign countries to our country and then doing their paperwork on the ground, like helping them get here. I mean, it's just blowing my mind in countries that are also in states that are all swing states. It's like it has never been more obvious of a tactic to try to overthrow, politics in a country. And the fact that we need to put a stop to it, that's the way it has to be. And listen, if naturally every state ends up becoming blue, then that's what ends up happening. but you can't cheat to get your way, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and to be fair, right now the border is down 95%, according to Vice President J.D. Vance. 95% of border illegal border crossings have been eliminated.
As it should be.
That's like,
do
you remember Biden saying it's a complicated, and his staff, or maybe just his staff, who even knows, it's a complicated process. It can't be done overnight. For like 4 years, and in 2 months, they've eliminated 95% of the problem?
Well, because they didn't want to eliminate. I mean,
that's the facts. That's what people need.
Yeah. So that's being handled. We'll see how that moves going forward. We'll pay more attention to it. But these Ukrainians, quickly, this is what the story start out to be. The reason why this was very interesting to me was what happened in Ukraine when the war broke out. When Russia invaded Ukraine, a law was put in place that all men ages 18 to 60 were not allowed to leave the country of Ukraine. They had to stay. And they have basically inscripted almost every person who's able to fight for their country. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people said, well, screw this. I got kids who are 16, 17 years old. I'm going to get them out of the country.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Because they would become 18 and then they couldn't leave and they would have to fight.
Makes sense.
So they sent a lot of them to the United States under Biden administration. But let me ask you a couple questions. So, of course, no one wants their children to die, right? No, you don't want your young men to die. And this kid here in this article is talking about, listen, I don't want to go back to Ukraine. I don't want to die. Okay. When you live in a place, if you have, and listen, the Ukrainians are fighting like crazy for their country, right? If you live in a place where you want democracy and you want to have a good life and you want a future for your family, sometimes you have to fight for that. Okay. Now, all the Ukrainians that are there doing that, they're fighting for that. So the people who don't want to fight, who are fleeing, who fled Ukraine, they didn't flee to Russia. Some did. But most didn't flee to Russia. Most fled to other democratic nations. So they want the benefits of being democratic, but they don't want to fight for it.
Right.
And I would argue, like, if our country was invaded, right, I'm not going to send my kids to some other country in case the United States doesn't make it.
Right.
We're all going to fight together, because this is our country. This is what we believe in. This is where we are. You don't just bail the moment your country comes under attack. Now, if that kid had gone to Russia and said, well, Russia's going to take us over, I might as well just go to Russia.
Right.
Right. And I understand that, but he didn't. He went to a democratic country.
Right.
So sometimes you got to fight for your beliefs. And a lot of these Trump saying, look, you Ukrainians just can't be over here forever. You need to go back to your country. The problem is your president, at the moment you're going to get back, you're going to fight. So you can argue whether or not you should make people fight. I would say, look, if you don't want to fight, get out. If you don't want to fight for your country, see ya. Go to another country.
Yeah.
And let all those people go, but the people who are there need to fight.
Yeah, no, you're right. The whole thing is a mess, though, because those people that have to fight, they don't actually have to fight. Like, they can make their leadership can make that deal.
Well, Russia's not allowing that to happen right now, so there is no.
But there is a deal to be made where they don't have to fight. I know they give up some of their land, though. They got to give up the land.
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all.
No?
I think, and I've become even more sure in recent days that Putin is just trying to he's just trying to put people off so that he can take as much as possible. I think he wants all Ukraine. I don't think he wants a peace deal.
You don't think that he would sign a ceasefire and take what he's already taken?
No, he doesn't want it. No, he does. He's already been offered to just let's have a ceasefire and talk about it. Let's figure it out, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And Trump, the way he was talking, he's basically saying, look, you might have to give up everything they've taken. And that is not good enough for Putin. Putin is dragging his feet. He's trying to, he's breaking ceasefires. That dude is trying to take Ukraine. I'm sorry. It's just what's happening.
Right.
So, you know, the thing is like if you're Ukrainian and a bigger power is coming to take you, you're either going to fight or you're going to give up. And
that's sad because there's no way they win that war.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Without our help.
Because without our help, they don't win. But that's why we have to say, well, you know, and here's kind of the way I look at it. Like if we're giving Russia like all these reasons they can stop attacking Ukraine and all this stuff, and they're like, well, you know, and they just want to do it anyways, then I look at it as like, fuck Russia. You know, hey, fuck you guys.
Right.
You really? This is how it's going to be? Oh, go fuck yourself. Now, so now you're going to get to a place, and this is what's going to happen.
Right.
When Russia shows its hand that they're true. No, it's not about NATO. It's not about Ukraine getting to NATO. It's just about, we want this really great piece of land back, and we're going to fucking take it.
Right.
Well, now you're going to piss off everybody else.
Right.
And all the Americans and the people in Europe and all the other countries, they're going to get pissed off too.
Right.
And that's what the point when you get something like, you know, you hope not to be in a world war with somebody. But let me tell you, we have not begun. The United States has not begun to really support Ukraine.
No.
You have no idea how many non-nuclear weapons that we can give that country.
Yeah, we've just thrown you some shekels.
It can get much more. And I think the moment it becomes clear that Russia is willing to, and listen, let me tell you what's going to happen. The moment that happens, that's when Russia makes a deal. The moment Trump calls him on his bullshit and he's like, oh, okay, so this is how it's going to be. Okay, so we're going to double all of our sanctions against you. No one who sells oil to Russia they're going to be tariffed by us. So if you sell oil to Russia, or if you buy Russia's oil, that's how Russia's fueling their economy right now, then we're going to cut you guys off. So then they're going to stop buying Russian oil, and then Russia's going to come to its knees. So it is possible. I mean, short of nuclear war, which the only other option is that, would Putin go to nuclear war over Ukraine? I don't believe so. No. It's a piece of land that they're trying to take, and they know that they're maybe because they feel like it's theirs historically, then they can have it. But I don't think they're willing to destroy their own country to take it. I think at the point where we cripple them to the point where they're done, then they're going to be done. I hate to do it. I hate to waste the money on it. But frankly speaking, they're not willing to come to the table. They just want to take that country. Fuck those guys.
I like what you said. The one way we can do this without spending money or going to war is to simply deny our consumerism to anyone supporting Russian's economy by buying their oil.
Is it?
If they lose all their customers, then they can't really fund the war anymore.
Well, look what we could do. Not only do we say, look,
no,
I know it's
no bullets required.
Right. Look, I know it's going to cause a problem for your country because you're not going to have enough oil. I'll tell you what. We're going to open up our reserves. We're going to drill a little more, and you can buy from us, and we'll even sell it to you at a better price.
Yeah. We'll give you a discount. Don't support them. If you do support them, though, then you're cut off.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, listen, it doesn't have to be that way, but anybody who's supporting Russia, it's like the Nord Stream pipeline. Like, why would the UK want to give more money to Russia, be dependent on Russia for energy when, who knows what their intentions are? Anyways, for a moment there, I thought, well, maybe Russia and Putin will come to the table and do the right thing and find an end to this. But the longer and longer it's taking them, and the more they're like, well, we should have talks about our talks, and we only want a ceasefire for these things, and then they don't obey the rules of those ceasefires. The Ukrainian president, they need to have an election before we practice. It sounds to me like they're just stringing shit along so they can keep taking more land. That's what it feels like.
Here's my perspective. I don't really care about any of it. I just want to stop spending. I just want to stop sending money to the Ukraine.
And I hear what you're saying.
And I feel, human to me says I feel sorry for people that have to fight for the country. That sucks, bro. But I'm America first every day, all day. And
here's the problem.
I'm not gonna give up anything of mine to help someone I don't know.
Well, here's and you're right. But here's the problem with, and this is why we're in such a we've put ourselves in a difficult situation since World War II. Since the end of since really when Russia fell or the Soviet Union fell, we put ourselves in a difficult spot because here's the thing. If we allow Russia to just take Ukraine, China is going to immediately take Taiwan.
That's true. Then we lose semiconductors.
And not just that, but all of the other countries who have
or chips or whatever, right?
Yeah, and all the other countries who have eyeballs on other weaker nations near them are all of a sudden just going to take those. Now we could just say, oh, whatever, maybe it's not a big deal, but there are ramifications for just allowing people to go and do that kind of thing, and we have to determine whether or not we're okay with humanity being that way. And
it's just a wild thing how no one respects us, but they all need us.
And we've done that to ourselves.
They talk nothing but shit on us, but they all need us.
Yeah.
They complain about us nonstop, but they need us.
Yep.
They hate us sometimes, but they need us. At what point we're like, you know what? We don't want to play anymore.
Yeah,
you guys are all dicks, and we're done playing. Good luck with the bigger country right next to you. Good luck with all your issues. We're done. We are done. And I understand that the world would be a worse place without America as the world police. But at what point does the disrespect, the hate, the total lack of fair trade, the stealing, the undermining, at what point is that just too much? And we're like, you know what, guys? Good luck. We're out.
But the only problem with that, and you're 100% right, and I hear what you're saying, and everybody listening, what Brian's saying makes sense until you realize that for the last 70 years, we've been regime changing all of these countries, and we have as much responsibility for making them dependent on us. And so now we just kind of hang them out to dry. So you kind of build them up and then fuck them. So that's part of the problem here is that we've created the world. We've created this world, and we're the ones who created the free economy. We're the ones who believe in democracy and in I'm drawing a blank here. When you basically our way of life, not communism, but
capitalism.
Capitalism. We've put capitalism into the world, and they're taking capitalism and shoving it right up our asses. And we started this. So I'm just saying,
you're using the word we,
our country,
right? Our country, right? So I'm going to say that's pretty relative because I wasn't alive for most of that.
Doesn't matter, dude. You are the benefit of this,
right?
Like just like being born.
Well,
in
benefit is also a pretty strong word to use.
Say that again.
Benefit's a pretty strong word to use. Maybe our father was a benefit.
No, listen. Spend some time in some other countries, and I promise you're benefiting.
No, I'm not saying that, but I think the United States would have been better had we not adopted the changes we made post World War I.
Perhaps, but the problem is we did. The problem is we did.
So, yeah, you're saying we though, and I'm saying now that it's our turn to change the game, we are going to go back to those pre-World War I policies, and you're going to respect us, and you're going to work with us and be fair with us, or you can F off.
True, but we just have to be aware that we may have created a lot of these situations. And I hear what you're saying. It's going to be a hard thing to do, to cut people off and to be this new way. But maybe that's what these Trump negotiations will do.
Right.
So what we're hoping is that it resets things without having to border ourselves off to the rest of the world completely. I get the idea, like, let's just take care of ourselves.
No, we can work with countries that want to be fair. Hey, Japan is working with us. You want to be fair?
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Even Mexico, they started to come to the table. They're trying to be fair. Okay, you want to be fair? Let's have a conversation. You want to be friends? Let's have a conversation. You want to disrespect us, undermine us, try to rob us continually? That's not going to work out.
Right.
If you don't want to have a fair relationship, then we don't need to be involved.
For trade, you're 100% true. But if we turn a blind eye to nations who want to gobble up other nations, it will eventually be a problem for us.
Well, then they should. If you're right, then they should also remember that when it comes to trade.
And if we wait until it becomes a problem with us, then guess who's sitting here in 50 years? Your offspring and the people or my offspring who are saying, I'm not aware. I wasn't alive 50 years ago when they made those decisions. Why am I responsible for what they decided? So they'll be saying the same things that you're saying now about the people who made the decisions for us. The problem is,
Actually, I think in 50 years it'll be some Chinese guy.
hopefully not. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And my kids are 47 years old, working at the new Apple China factory.
Right. I'm just saying we can't police the entire world, but we can't let China and Russia and some of these other countries just go willy-nilly wherever they want. So we still have to fight that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's obviously geopolitics is super complicated, and I'm not even going to pretend like I'm some kind of expert. I do know that I don't think it's no. I do know without a shadow of a doubt. This is not my opinion. It shouldn't be controversial to want a fair deal with other countries.
Amen, brother.
That shouldn't be a controversial thing to require fairness.
It is if you're not in power.
That's true. We got a super chat from the Happy Badger.
Ooh, I like that name.
Yeah, so do I. He says, "Why are blue city voters so clueless? LA and New York are poorly governed, yet those citizens vote for the same policies. Coof proved the NPCs never think. We live in Los Angeles. You're completely right."
Oh, and also, look, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. What the fuck's wrong with me? It's like sometimes you pick a team and you just are too stubborn to move on to somebody else.
That's true.
And that's part of it. Also, part of it is the news media is not going to let these people go. They're just not. These are not your Fox watchers. These aren't the people who question things. These are the people that are like, look, I just want mine, and I want things to stay the same. Right. The problem is if things stay the same, our country probably won't be as strong as it is in the next 5 to 10 years. And it could be, we could be speaking Chinese, like Brian said. So, yeah, I don't know why they're so clueless. They're so clueless because their politicians are really good at lying, and so is the media, in my opinion.
Right. And they don't want to let go of their NPCs, because those NPCs are
that's how they get elected.
Right. That's how they get elected. That's true. Okay. We're gonna go out on a meme. This is actually old, but I thought it was pretty funny. I know nothing about this. I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything about New Zealand government or their politics or even what a haka chant is. I don't know. What I do know is that some politician in New Zealand, regardless of how she is voting or what she is voting for, I'll be honest with you, don't care. Still think this is ridiculously entertaining, and I would love it if AOC started doing the same thing on the Senate floor. We're going to go out with this. Check us out, my friends. Everyone's chanting with her.
I hear it.
I don't know what they're saying.
I don't know, but I like it.
Yeah. That's it. Don't know anything about
Politics, baby. Politics.
Don't know anything about it, but I gotta say, I would love to see that here. Even if I didn't agree with the people that were chanting, it would still be fun to watch.
That's great.
All right, guys, we're gonna head out. We got a lot of work to do. Be sure to come back next Saturday. Shane will be here. We also got some clips coming out, and this week we're going to be doing our breaking news. I know we kept saying that, but this week we're starting it for members.
Yeah, we would have done the tariffs actually, but Brian was gone.
I was in Arizona. That's my bad, guys.
So, or else we would. Well, it's not your bad. It's just life.
But listen, this week I'm not going anywhere. Shane's not going anywhere. We're here. We're working. We're working our butts off on our other channels. So do this. If you want to become a member, this is the perfect time to do it, because this week, when anything happens that's like above a 7, we're booting up and we're going live for members only.
What's a 6 and what's a 7? Give an example.
Let's that's hard.
Like the tariff thing would have been a 10.
Yeah, well, because the stock market was like Black Monday all of a sudden. Like
yeah, that was bad.
Yeah. War. Epstein files,
that's high.
Anything
lower level stuff.
I would say anything that hits like the Google News at like a 6, or let's go with Google News search. If
Okay.
out of a 10, if the Google term hits a 6, we go live.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
So Joe Gatto, that news was like a 3. Right?
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
The trade wars was a 10 on Google News. Also, that's on
P. Diddy 7.
P. Diddy was a 7. Yeah, Epstein was a 7. Right.
Yes, there you go.
So anything above a Google search score of 6, we're coming on live.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Signal Leak 6, Epstein 10. Yes, so it says right. There you go. Signal Leak's like 100% right.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Signal leak might have been enough to get us on the air. We'll see.
Signal Leak, yeah, it would have been close. It would have been close. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump on, when it happens. And this is the perfect week for you guys to become a member. Hit that join button below. That is how we support this whole thing. And that's it. Shane, got anything else on the way out?
Nope. Thank you guys for sticking with us this time, staying with us through all the discussions. We appreciate you. We love you. And we're thankful that you give us a place to talk to you every Saturday. So have a great week.
Yeah, that's it. We love you guys. And we'll see the members early next week. Adios.
Or you guys next week.
Or you guys. If you're a member. Yeah, I don't know. Bye, guys.